first graders, welcome back to your TV classroom. Today is Tuesday, March 9th. Now before we get going, before we check with our zone, Mr. Kevin, I would like to show them a picture on my phone. Can you turn on the camera above me?
I certainly can.
So my nanny, Emberly, or as Oliver calls him, her MB, she just sent me this picture. She said, Oliver spilled his rice from his sensory bin and he's trying to clean it up.
Aw.
Look at that, friends. He's got his broom in the dustpan and he's trying to be responsible and sweep up his own mess. And he is only 2 years old. So that means you at home, if you make a mess, what do you think you should do? Be responsible, clean it up. We all make messes. You just have to be responsible to clean it up. Isn't that cute, Mr. Kevin?
I love that.
Yeah, it just came through and I thought, oh, the first graders would like to see that. So friends, let's check in with our zones. How are you feeling today? What zone are you in? What's your body doing? What's your mind doing? Mr. Kevin, what zone are you in today?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. I'm in the green zone. I had a little cough there, but
that's okay.
Got rid of that. And how about you, Mrs. Wally?
Well, I am most definitely in the green zone today. I'm excited because I get to get my COVID shot really soon. And I just found out yesterday, and I'm excited to get protected so that I can get back to school with kids next year and teach them in person. I love doing TV classroom, but I really miss having kids in front of me. It's kind of hard to teach to a camera, friends. But I miss you and I miss being with you, and I cannot wait to get back to my home Franklin and be there and teach those kids. It's gonna be wonderful. But that'll be next school year, but I'm excited that I get to be protected. What zone are you in today?
So I was in a green zone.
Did I already ask you that?
Yeah.
Oh my
That's okay.
goodness. Mr. Kevin, I think that I'm tired. Oliver woke up at 12:30 this morning and ended up in our room scared. So my brain, it's tired. Oh well,
Scary
friends.
Dream. Yeah.
We just move on. We're gonna do True or False Tuesday though. Isn't that gonna be so much fun?
I love True or False Tuesdays.
Me too.
Okay.
Is this true or false? What do you think? True or false?
Yay.
Bing, bing, bing. 5, 10, 15. It's true. Is this true or false? If 5 plus 5 plus 5 is 15, then we're gonna be adding 2 more. So what's 15 plus 2? 17. So nope, that's not true. True or false? What is 9 plus 6? 15. True or false? True or false? True. If I have 16 and I just take away I almost took away the 10, Mr. Kevin. Whoo. Telling you, friends, I need to get my brain to focus. Focus, self-focus. Okay, if I take away the 6, then I just have 10 left. Today, we are learning to make tally charts, number charts, and picture graphs. More graphing fun today. I'm so excited. Let's take a look at our warm-up problem. Look at the tally chart. And Mr. Kevin, right on cue, there's our garbage cans again today.
I know, they're
so
noisy.
Friends, if you hear some banging in the background, it's just the garbage men doing their job to keep our community clean. So when you hear it, say, thanks, garbage guys, or garbage women, or garbage people, whatever you call them. So look at the tally chart, complete the number chart to show the data another way. How are you gonna fill in this chart? I want you to make it on your whiteboard. So there are tally charts there. How would you make it into a number chart? I'm gonna give you 1 minute. Go ahead. I'm too early. I've got to wait.
Oh, that was 31 seconds there.
I'm really good at 30 seconds, Mr. Kevin. Are you ready, friends? Keep going if you're not, and we're gonna write it. Man, Mr. Kevin, I am struggling to film today. Whew. I can do this. Brain, you've got this. It's okay that you're racing. You need to calm down, brain. Sometimes we have to give ourselves a pep talk. It's not, my brain is just not wanting to do the right things at the right time. So instead of being mean to it and have that perfect Mrs. Wally telling me I'm doing it all wrong, I'm gonna be kind to myself, Mrs. Wally, and say, your brain's having trouble focusing. Take some deep breaths. You've got this. You can do it. Okay, let's look at the tally chart and then the number chart. How many green tallies are there? 3. How many blue tallies are there? 5. If you didn't know that was 5, let me explain why it's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this diagonal makes 5. That's how we show 5 in a tally. So we don't have to count all the tallies, we can start skip counting by 5s. So the purple has 5 and 2, which is 7. We made the chart in a different way. We showed the data in another way. Okay. You can make your tally chart with an A, a B, and a P for apple, banana, pear. And I want you to make a tally chart and make a chart with numbers for both using the data up top. I'm gonna leave it up and I'm gonna give you 2 minutes. Are you ready? Go for it. Okay, friends, take a look. Watch me do it and see if you did it the same way. Okay, I'm gonna do apples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bananas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pears. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to make a different chart using numbers instead of tallies. I'm going to turn these tallies into the number that it makes. 6, 5, 3. I did it. Did you do it at home? Now we're going to make a picture graph. So we're going to use circles to represent it. I'm gonna do it on my whiteboard so we can do that together.
Okay.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna draw a big rectangle. Oh, that's not my whiteboard.
How about?
Big rectangle on your
Mr.
whiteboard.
Kevin.
Oh, Mr. Kevin. And I made you change the camera, and so now it's, there we go, perfect. So we're gonna do, on the top, fruit. How many? And we're gonna have 3 columns, or these are rows. 2 columns, 3 rows. Now, you can draw the apple, banana, or pear, or you can write apple, banana, or pear, or I'm gonna do A for apple, B for banana, P for pear. And I'm gonna use the data, or just count them again. How many apples? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, all my pictures have to be the exact same size. 1, 2, whoop, nope. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many bananas? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you put 5 on your chart? Go ahead, I'll give you about 10 seconds. One, 2, 3, 4, 5 for banana. And pears. You go ahead and do pears on your own. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Look at that. We looked at a group of data, we organized it into a tally chart, then we put it into a number chart, and now we've made a picture graph. Wow, first graders, awesome job. Great work. Let's take a look at the next problem. We can do this one full screen, Mr. Kevin. The tally chart shows what children like best. Write the number for each object. Circle the one that the most children like. So how many children, Oliver would be in this category, like rain boots? Well, 5, 10, 11, 12. 12 like rain boots. You can go ahead and just write a 12 on your whiteboard. How many children like slippers? 5, 6, 7, 8. Write an 8 on your whiteboard. How many children like sneakers? 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18. Write 18 on your whiteboard. Now circle the number of children who liked the most. And what was it? What do most of the children like to wear on their feet the best? If you circled the number 18, you're correct. We know because 18 is the number that has the most value to it. There's 18 of them, and 18 comes after 12, and 18 comes after 8 on the number line. Can you look, show my whiteboard, Mr. Kevin? If we have a number line, and we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Which number is the most? We're looking at 8, 12, or 18. Which one's the furthest on the number line? Yeah, the number 18 is the furthest, which means it's the most. Ooh, it says, circle what more children like. We can do the full screen, Mr. Kevin. Circle what more children like. Write how many more. So let's write our numbers on the tally chart again so we don't forget them. We had 12, 8, and 18. So we're comparing rain boots to slippers. Which one did they like more, rain boots or slippers? The rain boots. And then we have to figure out how many more. So we have 12, and we have 8. And we're trying to figure out this part. So we're gonna do 12 minus 8. What is 12 minus 8? It's 4. So 4 more students like rain boots than slippers. Okay, let's do the next one. Circle what fewer children like, so the ones not as many. Sneakers or slippers? Sneakers is 18, slippers is 8. Which one is not as many? 18 or 8? If you said slippers, you got it. Now let's do our bar model and see how many fewer. We have 18, and then we have 8, and we're gonna do this part here, the part we don't know, the different part. That's for finding how many fewer or how many more. And look, up here, our bar model looked the same, and we subtracted because we have this whole, we know 8, and we're trying to find the other part. You might be thinking in your head, I know what blank and 8 makes 18 is. So if you have 18 and you take away 8, how many do you have left? 10. So 10 fewer students like slippers than sneakers. How can you tell from the tally chart that there are 4 more blue sneakers than brown shoes? How can you tell? Well, this is the same right here, right? The same, and then the same, and these two are the same. And so how many tallies are left? 1, 2, 3, 4 tallies are left. So you can match up the ones that are the same and then count the part that's left over. And that's how you know. Today, you're going to do page 422 in your math workbook. You're gonna practice comparing the rain boots and the slippers and the sneakers. Today, we learned to make tally charts, number charts, and picture graphs. We sorted the objects, we recorded the data on a chart, and we answered questions about the data on the chart using the tally chart or the picture graph and using the things we knew about adding and subtracting. Mr. Kevin, how can they send us information here at the TV classroom?
Well, first graders, just ask your adult to help you. Send us an email at tvclassroom@tacoma.k12.wa.us. You can always send it in the regular mail, too, to our headquarters here, TV Classroom, 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.
Thanks, Mr. Kevin. All right, friends, now is your time for your break. You're going to do ELA with Miss Oslin next, so make sure you gather those materials, and I will see you next time. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Rules. 1. You have 10 seconds to pick your crewmate. 2. A new timer will appear with an exercise for the crewmate you picked. 3. You will get points for each correct crewmate and exercise you choose. 4. If you pick the imposter, you will lose all your points. 5. Use your math skills to see how many points you can get. Good luck.
Hi, first graders. Welcome back from your break. Excellent job gathering your materials and being ready to learn. You can take your ELA packet, your learning or writing notebook, your pencil, put those off to the side. We won't need those yet, but go ahead and hold on to your learning buddy if they are going to help you focus. Now let's remind ourselves what your job is today and every day when we come together is to listen, share, read, and write. You are a strong listener when you keep your eyes on the speaker, when you listen to the speaker, and when you think about the words and the questions and the stories that we're reading. You will have an opportunity to share, and I do want you actually talking out loud about your ideas. That can be with your learning buddy, or maybe you have a pet rock, or if there's someone in the room, you could talk to them, or you could talk to me on the screen. Okay, today we're going to keep reading stories from Poppleton by Cynthia Rylant. And what we're going to do is look at the table of contents, which tells us the different stories within Poppleton. And we're going to read the story called The Library. As we read, we're going to continue to think about Poppleton, who is our main character. We're going to look at what he says, what he does, and how he interacts with the other characters. Now let's take a moment to think about what we know about Poppleton so far. What did we learn in our last lesson about Poppleton? Take some think time. Turn and tell your learning buddy what you remember about Poppleton. Rashid, I remember that Poppleton wore a suit and a tie, and Mr. Kevin pointed out that we thought he would be very polite or well-mannered because he was tipping his hat. We know that he moved to a small town from the big city because he kind of wanted to be alone. And then we met his neighbor, Cherry Sue. And Cherry Sue was trying to be friendly and invite him over, and he didn't know how to say no thank you. And so he got into the red zone. Do you remember what he did? He snapped and he sprayed Cherry Sue with the hose. And it turns out that Cherry Sue and Poppleton had a misunderstanding that they were able to solve by talking it out. Okay, now we know a lot about Poppleton. And knowing these things will help us read today because we can make connections in our brain between what we already know and what we're learning today. So this is the table of contents. Yesterday we read Neighbors. Today we're going to read the chapter called The Library. And while we do that, again, think about what the character says and does, and think about what we already know about Poppleton to infer his feelings, his motives, and his attributes. That means we're going to take the time to stop and think about book characters and really get to know their personalities. We're going to better be able to engage with the reading and determine whether we like or dislike a character or a book. We can also determine how you and I are similar to or different from our characters. We're making text-to-self connections. And we're going to continue to reading to learn more about Poppleton the pig. Are we ready? The library. Okay, before we begin, look at how Poppleton is dressed. What do his clothes make you think? Take some think time. Turn and tell your learning buddy what you're thinking. Rashid, I noticed that Poppleton is wearing a suit coat and a hat, and he's carrying a bag as he goes to the library. That makes me think that he takes his trip to the library very seriously because he's dressed up. And he has a bag, so I wonder if he's going to get a lot of books. Poppleton went to the library every Monday. Monday was always Poppleton's library day. If Cherry Sue invited him to tea on Monday, Poppleton would say, sorry, library day. If there was a wonderful parade in town on Monday, Poppleton would say, too bad, library day. Poppleton took library day very seriously. At the library, Poppleton always got a table all to himself. He spread out each of his things on the table: his eyeglasses, his tissues, his lip balm, his pocket watch, his bookmarker, and his duffel. Then he began to read. Wow, Poppleton won't do anything on Mondays except go to the library. That must mean he loves to read. It doesn't say that directly, but we can infer or figure that out about Poppleton based on the details, that he won't go to his friend's house for tea. He won't even stop for a parade. He loves going to the library that much. He also has that blue duffel bag that I pointed out, and it's full of things that he always brings with him. And he's very set in his ways, and he has strong habits. He always has his tissues and his glasses and his lip balm. And do you see how it's all set out just so? Poppleton liked adventure stories. He buried his head in an adventure book every Monday and left it there all day long. Now, I'm making a connection. I would love to be able to sit and read all day long like Poppleton. Mr. Kevin, would you like to sit and read all day long, or would you get kind of restless, do you think?
I would probably get a little restless. I do love to read at night.
Oh, yeah.
But during the day is tough for me.
Yeah. Especially if there's a parade.
Or sunshine.
Or sunshine, like today. Sometimes he needed a tissue for a sad part. Sometimes he needed lip balm for a dry part. Sometimes he needed his pocket watch for a slow part. But he loved his adventure. At the end of the day, Poppleton finished the story. He thanked the librarian and packed up his things in his duffel. Wow. Have you ever cried reading a book? I have. I definitely have. And what do you notice that he did when he was leaving? What did he say to the librarian? He said, thank you. That confirms our thinking yesterday that we thought that Poppleton was polite because he said thank you to the librarian. Then he slowly walked home, all dreamy from so much adventure. Monday was Poppleton's favorite day of all. So we learned that Poppleton cries at the sad parts. That tells us that he's sensitive. He feels emotions while he's reading. And like I said, Poppleton thanks the librarian. So that again confirms that he's a polite pig. This story shows us that he is polite, but it also shows us another side of Poppleton. This story shows us that he has some special rituals and routines, like he goes to the library every Monday, no matter what. And it shows us that he feels emotions like you and I do. I sure have learned a lot about Poppleton from this story. Now, let's continue reading another story and see if we can make some more inferences about Poppleton's motivations and his feelings based on what he does and says. Okay, this second story is called The Pill, and I'm looking at this illustration and I see that Poppleton is taking care of a friend who looks like they're sick in bed. What does this tell you about the type of pig that Poppleton is? Take some think time. Turn and tell your learning buddy how what Poppleton does tells you about what kind of pig he is. Rashid, I think Poppleton's a very kind pig, taking care of his friend when they're sick. Poppleton's friend Fillmore was sick in bed. Poppleton brought Fillmore some chicken soup. I feel terrible, Poppleton, said Fillmore. Have a bowl of soup, said Poppleton. First, I have to take my pill, said Fillmore. Where is it? Asked Poppleton. Over there on the table, said Fillmore. Poppleton brought Fillmore his pill. I can't take it like that, said Fillmore. You have to hide it. Hide it? Asked Poppleton. You have to hide it in my food, said Fillmore. I'll put it in the soup, said Poppleton. No, it has to be something sweet, said Fillmore. Sweet? I asked Poppleton. Sweet and soft, said Fillmore. Sweet and soft? Said Poppleton. Sweet and soft with raspberry filling, said Fillmore. It's kind of particular, Fillmore, huh? This makes me think about Mitch, my dog, when we have to give him some of his medicine. If we don't have it in just the right thing, he'll spit it out. So we have to make sure it's like stuck in some sausage or a cheese stick or like lots of peanut butter around it. Sweet and salty with raspberry filling? Asked Poppleton. And chocolate on top, said Fillmore. Chocolate on... Fillmore, are you talking about Cherry Sue's heavenly cake? Asked Poppleton. Fillmore smiled. Poppleton went away. Soon he came back with Cherry Sue's heavenly cake. Now I can hide your pill, said Poppleton. Don't tell me which piece of cake it's in, said Fillmore. Poppleton sliced the cake into 10 pieces. He hid Fillmore's pill in one of them. Fillmore had the first piece. Yum, said Fillmore. Did I take my pill? Poppleton shook his head. Fillmore had another piece. Yum, said Fillmore. Did I take it? Poppleton shook his head. Fillmore ate piece after piece after piece. Did I take it? Poppleton kept shaking his head. Finally, there was only one piece of cake left. Thank goodness, said Poppleton. I noticed that Poppleton is a really nice friend. He's really playing along with all of Fillmore's requests and games. Fillmore doesn't want to take his medicine, but he does want to eat cake. And after feeding Fillmore most all of the cake, and when there is only one piece left, Poppleton says, thank goodness. And I think Poppleton is getting tired of playing Fillmore's game. What do you think is going to happen? Take some think time. Turn and tell your learning buddy what you're thinking. Rashid, I'm thinking back to when Poppleton got tired of hanging out with Cherry Sue and he snapped and sprayed her with the hose. Do you think he's gonna snap with Fillmore? Let's find out. Fillmore looked at the piece of cake. I can't eat that one, he said. It has a pill. Well, what can you eat? Shouted Poppleton. Something lemony, said Fillmore, with coconut. I feel sick, said Poppleton. Move over. Poppleton and Fillmore were sick in bed for 3 days. They took lots of pills. It took 27 cakes to get them down. So in the end, Poppleton decides to join Fillmore in the game and eat a lot of cake too. This time, Poppleton doesn't get mad, even though he gets frustrated. He learned from his experience with Cherry Sue, didn't he? Also, Poppleton kind of has a sense of humor, doesn't he? It's like, ugh, move over, let me join you. Okay, we are going to use all of that thinking that we did to complete the graphic organizer character web. Now, I'm gonna model for you now how to do this with Poppleton, and then your independent work today is to complete this graphic organizer in your own independent reading texts. So this is a character web, and it's going to help us organize our thinking. In the middle is where we put our character's name. So I'm going to put Poppleton on mine because that's who I'm writing about. You are going to put your character's name after your independent reading. And I'm going to think about, what does he or she say? What does he or she look like? What does he or she feel? And what does he or she do? And then I'm going to answer the question, what does this information tell us about the character? And then I'm going to do some thinking about, how is Poppleton similar to me or different than me? So first, what does he or she say? Now I'm remembering the library. And when Poppleton left the library, do you remember what he said? He said thank you to the librarian.
The librarian was a chicken.
The librarian was a chicken. I noticed that. And then, this is kind of an interesting connection. What kind of soup did he serve Fillmore?
you kind of caught onto my.
I did.
Yeah, chicken soup. Yeah, to his friend.
But that was kind of him. He served chicken soup, and I think he said, like, have some soup. Okay, now let's do some thinking about, what does Poppleton look like? Can you picture him in your mind? What did he wear? Oh, he wore a suit to the library. Now think about, what does Poppleton feel? Do you remember when Poppleton was at the library? He got to a sad part. Yeah, he cried at the sad part of his books. And then after he cares for Fillmore, how did he start to feel? Yeah, he felt sick.
Too bad he didn't feel more better. That's terrible.
Okay, now last, what does he or she do? Think about what we learned in the librarian, or the library. What does Poppleton do every Monday? He goes to the library. It's important to include the detail that he goes to the library every Monday, because that tells us a little bit about who Poppleton is as a character. What else does he do? Oh, Poppleton took care of his sick friend. That's very nice. Now, what is all this information, what Poppleton says and looks like and feels and does, tell us about Poppleton? Well, it tells me that Poppleton likes routine, he's very tidy and organized, and he also cares a lot about other people. Can you picture Poppleton unloading his duffel bag with all of his things? Okay, finally, is he or she similar to or different from you? How? Take some think time. How are you like Poppleton? How are you different from Poppleton? Turn and tell your learning buddy what you're thinking. Rashid, I also like routine. I don't like it when things change. I have a really hard time with that. I'm pretty tidy most of the time. And while I care about my friends, I don't know that I would go take care of them when they're sick because I would be scared that I would get sick. And that's what I would write right here on my graphic organizer. So first graders, your independent work today is to do your independent reading, and you're gonna think about how you can infer or figure out how the characters are feelings, their motives, what makes them do things, and what are their attributes based on what they say and do and think and feel. Then you're gonna use your character web in your ELA packet to organize your thinking and think about how is your character similar to you and how is your character different from you. And that's your writing today. Don't forget to continue tracking your goals, and we would love to see any of the work that you're doing here at our TV classroom to know what you're reading, what you're thinking about your characters, how they're similar to you. Mr. Kevin's going to tell you how you can send us your work.
Of course, you can send that to TV Classroom at tacoma.k12.wa.us. And if you need some help with it, just ask your adult. They'll be able to help you. Fire up the email machine. You can also send it to our headquarters here, TV Classroom, 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.
Thank you, Mr. Kevin. Now, first graders, it's time for our affirmation. This is the time of the day when we get to say positive things about ourselves before we go off to complete our independent work. And today, your affirmation is, I am a strong reader. Say that out loud with me. I am a strong reader. Excellent job today, first graders. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you back here next time in our TV classroom. Bye.
Hey kids, we want to see your work. Just send your pictures and your stories to TV Classroom, 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.